Hi there, everybody. Let's talk about the short story discussion guidelines. We do have a rubric video already floating around out there where we break down the rubric for our discussion, but I want to get a little bit into specifically what our short story discussion forums are going to entail. So, what are we doing essentially with our short story discussion prompts? Well, we want to read the assigned short story reading. We'll have one almost every week. Give some thought and some reflection to that piece, how your gut responded to it, and then we're going to look at stuff a little bit more specific depending on the short story that we're reading. Then we write up a 1 to 2 paragraph response and we post that response in the discussion forum for that week by Thursday, 11:59 p.m. at the latest. So let's take a look at the rubric to get a little bit better feel for what we're going to be doing with these assignments. Okay, we're going to have 4 different short story specific discussion forum activities. So essentially what we're going to be doing is participating in a discussion about the short story that was assigned and then answering specific prompt questions. For example, in Module 3, we will be discussing this short story Communist, and we will be exploring the techniques that the author uses in that story to connect the audience and whether or not it's effective and whether or not there's something in there that you could use in your own writing. Week 5, we'll be reading the Semplica Girl Diaries, and we will be exploring the point of view. Now, this is an interesting story, and it's really very divisive. Some of us love it, and some of us do not love it. And there's really no middle ground there, but it's a very unique story in terms of point of view. So we'll read that and then explore the concept of point of view, whether or not it's effective, and if we can use something similar or maybe something different in terms of point of view in our own writing. In week 6, we will be reading Babylon Revisited, which is an interesting story in and of itself. And then we're going to discuss how the author uses dialogue in regards to subtext. Often, when we think about dialogue, we think about what is being said, and that's absolutely literally what dialogue is. But we also have a lot of other things going on. You'll notice in these videos that I move a lot. I talk with my hands, I look past you, I look outside. That's how we do dialogue in real life, and it should reflect in our own writing. You don't just stand there and lecture. I mean, unless that's what you're doing. But in conversations, we typically engage, we sigh, we blink, we interrupt. Maybe we change our posture and we get really stiff when somebody says something we don't like. Maybe our hands shake. All of that combines into what we call subtext, and we'll get into exactly what subtext is in the future. But that's what we're looking for in Babylon Revisited. What is being said, but also what is not being said. And we'll write 1 to 2 paragraphs and have a conversation about it. And then in Module 7, we're going to read The School, which is another one of those sort of controversial pieces that people either love or hate. I personally find it amusing. And we're going to be talking about how the author includes or does not include detail and how we could maybe use more or less detail in our short story. Write 1 to 2 paragraphs in response to that prompt, and then there you go. The initial requirement, of course, for the initial post is to answer the prompt and then post by Thursday and then reply to at least 2 peers by Sunday. Okay. So let's take a look at our rubric real quick. I'm not going to go over everything on here, but we want to be aware of our timeliness. We will be graded on when we do submit the original post. We want to take a look at the short story elements. Are you essentially answering the questions that were asked? Are you exploring that use of dialogue in Babylon Revisited and whatnot? How are you talking about the literary elements in that short story? The next critical element that we're looking at is engagement. Are you participating actively with at least 2, if not more, of your peers? And are you encouraging deeper conversation? Are you asking questions? Are you being fully engaged? And then the last thing that we look at in our discussion forums is our writing. How's our writing mechanics? Are we following the rules for grammar? Are we writing in complete sentences? If you have any questions on the rubric at all, let me know. So again, essentially what we are doing is we're reading a story and then we're answering a prompt to it and then we're having an active conversation with our peers. If you have any questions on our specific stories or what these prompts are supposed to mean, we will talk about them as we go throughout the term. But if you have any questions, let me know. We can text, chat, we can use Zoom, you can call me, and we can talk in the general discussion forums. I know discussion boards aren't everybody's favorite thing, but they are a great way to foster communication and add a little something to these online conversations. You got this.